For years. That's how long Ayumi Takahashi's mother left the hallway light on. For years of waiting for footsteps that never came. And then one night, the doorbell rang. The girl standing there had Ayumi's face. But her eyes belonged to someone who'd seen the other side of the world, the side we pretend doesn't exist. This is the story of what happened between that text message and that doorbell. And it's not the story you think it is. Another disappearance. This is the haunting story of Ayumi Takahashi, the missing schoolgirl of Shibuya. March 3rd, 8:04 p.m. Ayumi sends her mother a text, "I'll be home soon." 3 words. 17 characters. The last message Mrs. Takahashi would receive for 1,461 days. 11 minutes later, Ayumi leaves her cram school. The security camera catches her adjusting her school bag, pulling her coat tighter against the spring chill. Normal. Routine. Forgettable. Except for one detail. In the reflection of a shop window behind her, you can see it, a figure. Tall. Male. Cap pulled low. He's not walking toward her. He's already matched her pace. At 8:17 p.m., both of them turn the corner onto a side street. Only one of them will ever be seen on camera again. Police would later review 47 different camera angles from that night. The masked man appears on exactly one of them, following Ayumi down that narrow street. Then nothing. Like he knew where every camera was mounted. Like he'd walked this route before. But here's what kept the lead detective awake. At 8:19 p.m., a shop owner named Mr. Tanaka was locking up for the night. He watched Ayumi stop, watched her turn, watched her speak to the man. She didn't look scared, he told police. That's what I can't forget. She looked like she was expecting him. When investigators asked Tanaka to describe the man's face, he paused. I couldn't see it. But his posture, he bent forward slightly, like he was in pain. She reached out her hand to steady him. That's when they moved out of the light. The exact moment Ayumi Takahashi disappeared wasn't violent. It was gentle, almost tender, which made it so much worse. 8:23 p.m. Ayumi's phone goes dark. Not powered off. That leaves a digital trail. This was different. The kind of shutdown that requires removing a battery or using a signal jammer. Professional. Deliberate. 9:30 p.m. Mrs. Takahashi expects Ayumi home. She calls. No answer. 10 p.m. She calls again. And again. 16 times in 2 hours. Each call goes straight to an automated message. The number you have dialed is not in service. She calls Ayumi's friends. The cram school. Checks the usual routes. Nothing. 11:47 p.m. Mrs. Takahashi arrives at Shibuya Police Station. The officer takes her statement, but explains that teenagers sometimes lose track of time, visit friends, miss the last train. Most of them show up by morning. But Mrs. Takahashi knows her daughter. Ayumi always calls. Always. By 2 a.m., the officers' reassurances start to crack. They pull CCTV footage. By 4 a.m., they've found the last sighting. By dawn, emergency protocols are activated. But in those crucial first 8 hours, while her mother was calling, while police were taking statements, while everyone assumed she'd turn up, Ayumi was already gone. Not just missing. Gone. The traffickers had their window, and they knew exactly how to use it. The dogs found her scent at Shibuya Station. They tracked it to Platform 7, the line heading west out of the city. Then the trail evaporated. Not faded. Evaporated. It's like she flew, the K9 handler said. Or like someone carried her. But there was something else. Something the police didn't release to the public for 3 months. On the platform, tucked behind a support beam, officers found a single item. Ayumi's student ID card. Not dropped. Placed. Face up. Where someone searching would eventually find it. Some investigators thought it was evidence of a struggle. Others believed it was a message. One detective had a darker theory. What if she left it on purpose? What if she was trying to tell us something? The ID card went into an evidence bag. The question went unanswered. And Shibuya moved on. Because cities always do. When digital forensics finally cracked Ayumi's phone, they found a graveyard. 427 deleted messages. All from the 3 weeks before she vanished. All from the same unknown account. And all erased using professional-grade wiping software, not the kind a 15-year-old would have. The experts could recover fragments. Single words floating in digital space. Trust me, no one will know. Better life. One message was almost complete. Your mother doesn't understand what you need. But I do. The account traced back to a coffee shop in Roppongi. The shop's security footage had been mysteriously corrupted. The shop owner didn't remember anyone unusual. But Ayumi's best friend, Yuki, remembered something else. 2 weeks before the disappearance, she'd asked Ayumi about the texts. She smiled, Yuki said. Not her normal smile. It was secretive. Like she had this whole part of her life I didn't know about. I asked who she was talking to. She said, someone who actually listens. I should have asked more questions. But I was jealous. Isn't that stupid? I was jealous that someone understood her better than I did. 3 months into the investigation, a social worker in Osaka made a connection. A girl, 17, runaway, recently recovered from a trafficking ring. Described her recruitment. An older man. Online conversations. Promises of modeling work, of escape from controlling parents, of finally being seen. He made me feel special, she said. Like I was the only one who mattered. When police showed her Ayumi's photo, she went pale. I saw her, she whispered. In the house. They kept us in separate rooms, but I saw her through a crack in the door. She was crying, but silently, like she'd learned that making noise made things worse. The girl gave them an address. By the time police raided it, the house was empty, professionally cleaned. No DNA, no fingerprints, no evidence anyone had ever been held there. But in the basement, scratched into the concrete with what must have been a fingernail, someone had written a single word, Mama. The handwriting matched Ayumi's. Week 21, 2:34 a.m. Mrs. Takahashi's phone rings. Unknown number. She answers like she's been waiting, because she has been. Every night. Every call. Mama. The voice is thin, stretched across distance and fear. Mama, save me. I'm at. A male voice in the background. Stupid girl. Give me that. The line goes dead. The call lasted 8 seconds. The police traced it to a cell tower covering a 15-kilometer radius north of Tokyo. By the time units arrived, they found nothing but highway rest stops and empty fields. But that call changed everything, because now they knew 3 things. 1. Ayumi was alive. 2. She was being held against her will. 3. She was running out of time. The traffickers had made a mistake. They'd let her get close enough to a phone to make one desperate call, which meant they were getting sloppy, or Ayumi was getting. Either way, something was about to break. The investigation went cold. Not closed. Cold. There's a difference. Ayumi's desk at school was given to a new student after 6 months. Her friends graduated, got jobs, moved on with their lives. The posters came down from the train stations. The news segments stopped running. But Mrs. Takahashi's hallway light stayed on. Every single night. 1,461 nights. Because here's what the world forgets. For the families of the missing, time doesn't move forward. It circles. Every March 3rd is the same day. Every 8:04 p.m. is the same moment. Every unanswered call is the same silence. Detective Shimizu, who'd led the initial investigation, visited once a month. He had nothing new to report. He came anyway. I couldn't let her wait alone, he said later. Someone needed to remember that this wasn't just a case number. October 12th. For years, 7 months, 9 days after the disappearance. 6:47 p.m. The doorbell rings. Mrs. Takahashi isn't expecting anyone. She opens the door. And there on her doorstep is a girl who looks like Ayumi. Sounds like Ayumi. But stands like someone who's forgotten how to take up space. She's thinner, paler, Her hair is cut differently. She's wearing clothes Mrs. Takahashi has never seen. For 5 seconds, neither of them moves. Then Ayumi whispers, "I'm sorry I'm late." Mrs. Takahashi doesn't ask questions. Not yet. She pulls her daughter inside, locks the door, and holds her while Ayumi cries in a way. That sounds like years of silence breaking apart. When Ayumi finally speaks, her voice is flat, rehearsed, like she's been practicing this story for months. He seemed nice at first. Online, he said he understood me, said I was special, mature for my age. All the things I wanted to hear. She stops, starts again. The night I disappeared, he asked me to meet him, just for a few minutes. He said he had something important to tell me. I thought. She laughs bitterly. I thought he was going to tell me he loved me. Isn't that stupid? The story Ayumi tells police takes 6 hours. She describes the handkerchief pressed to her face, the chemical smell, waking up in a locked room with no windows, the other girls who came and went, the men who called them products, not people. She describes being moved between houses, different cities, different faces, always locked doors, always watching eyes. She describes learning to be quiet, learning to disappear inside herself, learning that crying only made things worse. And she describes her escape, not as dramatic rescue, but as dumb luck. A handler who got careless, a window left unlocked, a moment of opportunity in 4 years of captivity. I ran through rice fields for hours, she says, barefoot. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I had to move. If I stopped moving, they'd find me. A farmer found her at dawn, collapsed by a roadside. He gave her his phone. She called her mother. But there's something else. Something Ayumi doesn't say, but Detective Shimizu notices. She never looks at doorways directly. She sits with her back to walls. When men speak, she flinches, just slightly, just for a second. But it's there. The girl who came home isn't the girl who left. That girl is gone. This is someone else. Someone who survived. Ayumi's testimony leads to raids across 3 prefectures. 7 arrests. 12 girls were rescued. A trafficking network that had been operating for over a decade, hidden in plain sight. But the man who first contacted Ayumi, the one who made her feel special, who promised her everything, was never found. The online accounts had been scrubbed. The trail went cold. Some cases don't end with justice. Some end with survival. Ayumi's mother still keeps the hallway light on. Not because she's waiting anymore, but because darkness feels different now. Dangerous. Like something that could swallow you whole. Ayumi is in therapy. She's learning to sleep without nightmares. Learning to trust without terror. Learning to exist in a world that failed to protect her. The missing schoolgirl of Shibuya came home. But part of her is still out there. In that locked room, in that moment of betrayal, in those 4 years that can't be given back. This isn't a story about a happy ending. It's a story about what it costs to survive. And about all the girls who never got the chance. In Japan, over 90,000 people are reported missing each year. Nearly 18,000 are teenagers like Ayumi. Most are found quickly. Some are never found. And some come back changed forever. Online grooming and human trafficking are real threats. If you or someone you know is in an unsafe situation, reach out for help. You don't have to face it alone. This story is fictional, but the danger is real. Thank you for listening to Ayumi's story, and for remembering that behind every missing person poster is a family that still leaves the light on.